So today let's talk about the bird's eye story. This is a story structure that I came up with after reading countless books on storytelling, but not finding anything that is very practical to work with. I wanted to break it down into a bit of an art, but also a bit of a science, but essentially end up giving you a practical way that you can tell a story. So when it comes to telling a story, there are different parts to the story structure. There is the start, there is the middle. In the middle, you have what I like to call your self-introduction and an attention shake-up, which I will cover more in detail in just a second. And then you have the ending. Now, the most important thing here when it comes to the ending of a YouTube video is it's an ending in your head, but it's not an ending from the viewer's perspective, because when you come to the end of a YouTube video, you should be seamlessly pitching the next video the viewer should watch to keep that momentum going. And then in between, you have the different tips that you might want to share as part of the video. And here you will see the 5-tip structure. I'm going to be diving into each single component in much more detail in just a second. First, let's take a look at the start. This is simply how you get to hook your audience, how you introduce the topic. The ending, like I said, is how you pitch the viewer to watch the next video. In the middle, you have the self-introduction and the attention shake-up. Self-introduction is quite self-explanatory. This is where you get to introduce yourself in a short and catchy and snappy way, in a way that's memorable. The attention shake-up is something you do to help refocus your audience. And this happens halfway through, because usually halfway through a video, we tend to lose our focus a little bit. Therefore, it pays off to do something to re-engage your viewer. I will share some ideas what this could look like in just a sec as well. And then you have all your tips in between. And doesn't matter really if you have fewer tips, you can still use this structure. If you have more tips, you can basically add more attention shake-up breaks in between before you get to the end of the video. The beautiful thing here is I also divided the tips into substructures, because I'm that kind of nerd and I wanted to dive deeper into the nitty-gritty. So let's focus on this structure here, on tip 1, tip 2, and how do we actually talk about that. Under the first tip, the substructure looks like this. You have the struggle, the stakes, the action, and then the resolution. And then it basically repeats exact same way also for tip number 2, tip number 3, tip number 4, so and so forth. Now, before I tell you more about what the struggle, the stakes, the action, and the resolution is, I want to take a step back, because we need to talk about understanding hero versus guide. The way I like to see it is the hero, aka your ideal viewer, who is also your ideal client, has potential. They're like a lump of clay. As the guide, you're the guide, and you're responsible to help the hero take shape. Maybe it's going to become a beautiful vase or a beautiful sculpture. And hero is the one that needs to walk across that bridge of transformation. You, the wise guide, the Yoda, you're the one that actually guides the hero across the bridge. So if we look at that bridge analogy, the hero is the one that's at the current reality. They need to walk to the future reality. And remember, what's standing in the way is what I like to call the gap. And the gap exists because the hero doesn't know something about mindset, knowledge, or skills. Because if they had the right mindset, if they had the right knowledge, and if they had the right skills, they would have already achieved that transformation and they wouldn't need you, right? But they're not quite there yet. You, the guide, you know all the things about the gap. You know exactly what they need to know about mindset. You know exactly what they need to know about information, knowledge, and skills. And the way we facilitate the transfer of knowledge is through this story structure that I shared with you. And now let's dive a little bit deeper into every section. So to recap, we have the struggle, the stakes, the action, and the resolution, the 4 parts. Let's talk about the struggle. aka the problem. What is causing problem? And what's the pain that this problem is causing? And why is this pain important to the hero? And what will happen if the pain does not get solved? Which is a very great segue into the second part, which is the stakes, aka the barrier. What are the obstacles standing in the way? How did these obstacles come to be? And if you think about the latest movie or TV show you watched, you were probably very invested in the story because you didn't want the hero to lose, despite the fact that stakes were really high. Higher the stakes, the more to lose or win, the more interesting the story becomes. So if you're an online coach, consultant, or a business owner, what could these stakes look like? Some that come to my mind are wasting time, wasting money, losing reputation, right? Stress, burnout. Higher the stakes, the more interesting the story is going to be. The action is simply the doing. So now that we've established the struggle and the stakes, what's the action the hero needs to take to eventually get to their happy ending? So what will inspire the hero to take action? What action are they taking or not taking? Sometimes the action we don't take is equally important, which then leads to the resolution. And the easiest way to think about the resolution is simply the outcome, okay? How does the story end? And does the hero ultimately get their happy ending? I did that one on purpose. And we want the hero to get their happy ending, okay? Now, there's an easy way to implement this, and I call this how to tell a story without thinking. And whether you realize it or not, you tell a story all day, every day. Some of these stories are a little bit boring, some of them are a bit more engaging, but we tell them all day, every day. Story is just part of who we are as species. Let's take a look at the boring story first. The boring story goes something like this. And then, and then, and then, and then. So let me give you an example. I woke up in the morning and then I took a shower, and then I made some coffee, and then I started to work, and then I went to sleep. Now, it's a boring story. It's not a very interesting story, but it's still a story. What makes it boring is just the repetition of and then, and then, and then, and then. It feels way too linear. There's nothing dynamic there. The engaging story, on the other hand, looks something like this. You vary. You say because, you say but, you say and then, you say so that. So let's take a look at this in action. I woke up early because I need to work, but I couldn't find my laptop, and then I saw it under the couch. I leaned over so that I can actually get my laptop and start working. You see, it's a very simple story about a very simple action, but it still remains engaging because we have the struggle, the stakes, the action, and the resolution built in. Every single time you say because, you're outlining the struggle. Every single time you say but, you're telling what's at stake. When you say and then, you're going to reveal the action, and then so that will give you the resolution. And the most beautiful thing is you can repeat this as many times as you want. So if I wanted to add on top of this story, I could continue by saying, because I have a strict deadline at midnight, but I promised my friend to meet up, and then it started raining outside, so I decided to cancel the meeting. So here you see, again, you have the struggle, the stakes, the action, and the resolution. And in this particular example, the action is the rain outside. So it's something that's completely out of our control, but what we do have control over is how we could react to it. So the action is also the things that happen outside of you sometimes. Now, when I look at the boring and the engaging story side by side, you can easily see the massive difference. After you write the engaging story, you can start to remove the extra because, buts, and thens, because without them, the story still makes sense standalone. So we just do that, and then we have our engaging story, which gives us a beautiful foundation to then start to add details. So when you say, I woke up early because I need to work, you can talk about how you felt when you woke up. You can detail what your work looks like. so and so forth. So once you have this kind of structure, it becomes so much more easier for you to add the extra details. So ultimately, what we need are these 4 specific things as we slowly reveal the story that we want to tell in our videos. This is what I wanted to share with you today as part of our engaging and very catnipy story structure. Knowing these 4 things, the struggle, the stakes, the action, and the resolution, will make outlining any one of your YouTube video content or your social media marketing content. It's going to make it so much more easier. It's going to make it a walk in the park. If you're curious about the rest of the framework, because there's more to it, you can join the upcoming version of the 3-day YouTube for Business Bootcamp. This is for online business owners, entrepreneurs who want to start and scale a profitable YouTube channel to get qualified leads and paying clients inside their business. So if this is your jam, this 3-day bootcamp is exactly what you need. We cover storytelling on day 2. On day 1, we look at your video marketing strategy. And on day 3, we talk about your video-based marketing funnels. And I'm so glad that you got a bit of a taster of what day 2 looks like. There is a bit more to it. We dive right in, and then we end everything with a bonus masterclass on the 4th day, where we bring everything together, we consolidate everything, and then from there we talk about what would the best next step for you and your particular business would look like. If you're curious to learn more about the bootcamp, sign up for the next version, or maybe get yourself on the wait list. I'll be dropping the link down in the description of this video. While you are waiting for the next round of the bootcamp, which I do live a couple of times a year, I don't want you to be left on your own. So I'm still going to be giving you the free YouTube playbook, which you can also download via the description in the video. That will give you 10 video ideas to get started with, and you can take your favorite ones and use this storytelling structure to get ahead. And until the next time, as usual, don't forget to stay awesome. Bye bye.